けど久しぶりにバイブス上げてこう嬉しできるスイカ
How's it going, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Castaway Anime Podcast. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And today, we're talking about the Spy Family movie, Code White. It just came out in theaters, like, last week at the time of this recording. It's no longer in theaters, sadly, but we saw it, and we're here to talk about it. But first, as always, if you enjoy the podcast and want to hear more of our objectively correct takes, registered trademark, then be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode of Castaway Anime. Crunchy, how we feeling?
Alright, so Spy Family is definitely the crunchy-coded show between the two of us, because I have been gassing it for a long time. I originally had, like, the first core of Season 1 as a straight-up 10. Not Season 2, Core 2, I always get those mixed up. Core 2 did kind of tank my opinion a little bit, and I thought everything balanced out at a 9, because a lot of the things that I thought the first season promised didn't get quite delivered on. But nonetheless, I have been extremely hype about this show very consistently. I even gave Season 2 a 9, even though a lot of people were saying that's when it went downhill, and I was like, nah, I think it's still kinography. The Your arc was brilliant. So I am poised to be the guy gassing this movie. It's an anime original movie, as far as I know anyway. I don't think any of this was present in the manga, and, you know, because of that, it can't have too much, it can't actually progress the story. Like, by default, you know, you have to gear up for the fact that none of this is going to super matter. And so, you know, they were saying, oh,
Anya's
yeah,
ass was never getting that Stella.
They literally, I will say, you know, to critique the movie right off the bat, because it's this kind of movie, they were talking about, oh, you know, she has this baking competition thing where, you know, or it's not really a competition, but baking class, and whoever makes the tastiest thing gets the Stella.
So it is a competition.
I was traditionally, but I was like, immediately I was just like, there ain't no fucking way she's getting that Stella, dude. There's no way. We wish. It's been so long since she's gotten a goddamn Stella. But
all my Stella's gone. The Stella well has run dry.
Yeah, but in terms of overall opinion on the film, you know, is it Spy Family kinography? Is it the best of the best when it comes to this show? Or did they fumble the bag completely? You know, once Tatsuya Endo is out of the picture, it just goes to complete shit. Is that what happened? It was aight. It was fine. It was
is it the best piece of
okay movie.
Is it the best piece of Spy Family content? No. Is it a little bit like a recycled content and like just kind of goes over beats and ideas that we've already covered in the show before? Yes. Is it some of the best Spy Family has ever looked? Absolutely. This movie based on this show looked goddamn stunning with a movie budget.
Yeah, well, specifically with the third act, I will say for the first couple acts of the movie, which is, by the way, the third act of this movie is fucking gigantic. It is so long. That action scene is like, when I got out of the movie, because I hadn't checked the runtime before, but I was like, oh yeah, that was 2 hours. And that action scene was probably the last 50 minutes of it. But, yeah, I mean, the first 2/3 of it, or not even 2/3, but like less than that, like first half of it, I guess, looks just like a slightly more polished version of, you know, Spy Family proper. Once we get to the action scenes, though, that's where you can tell they really pooled in some of their, you know, talent and resources to really make it pop. Albeit, not for the fires, though. If you looked too hard at the fires in that one scene, I noticed they were just the stock footage that every shitty anime uses for fire, and I was like,
were they? In the fight with Yor,
some of them were, and
the soldier dude?
They tried to cover, yeah. Some of the fires in the background specifically were like some of the shitty stock footage fire you see. I caught that. They composited it
I-
well, at least, so that I didn't notice it immediately. I just noticed it when I started fixating on the background, and I was like, "Oh, wait, those are totally."
I must have been
the stock
distracted because
footage.
I must have been distracted because it's such a big screen, and that was all the focus was placed on the movement of Yor, because there's a lot of fast-paced action and directing in that scene. I
the
must have missed
animation
it.
is really good. Yeah. Well, actually, funny story, because okay, quick question: how close were you to the theater screen?
Well, see, my theater was sadly dead. Granted, I saw this on a Wednesday night, which was like the second to last night it was in theaters. So by this point, everyone who wanted to see the Spy Family movie saw the Spy Family movie. So it was just myself, my friend who wanted to go see it with me, and a couple stragglers who came in. We were about typical like midpoint, like the ideal distance in a movie theater when you're in the exact like middle row where you're not so close to the screen they have to crane your neck up and kill yourself the whole time, and not so far away that you don't get like that perfect rectangular box of vision that completely encapsulates the screen and doesn't get cut off. It's not you're not too far, but you're not too close either. It's that perfect middle ground.
All right, so my experience was that I was running a little late to the movie. So when I was, and by the way, a piece of actual torture, I got in line for my ticket. There was only one person ahead of me. She was like this old 60-year-old grandma who was trying to pay an exact change. And I was like, God damn it, I'm already late to this thing. Holy shit. But no, it's okay. I managed to catch the movie. Yeah, I caught the movie on time, thankfully. But I just literally tapped a random
Did you miss any bit of it?
No, I didn't miss any bit of it. They were
Okay.
still thankfully showing some of the previews. But yeah, I was like, okay. I just clicked a random seat. And then, I got to my seat while the previews were still playing. But I noticed there are 3 other people in this theater. It is deserted. And so I just switched seats to a better one because I was too close up. And so I go to the back row because this was a small theater, by the way. Like the actual theater viewing room was tiny. And so the back row was like the ideal viewing distance. So I was like, okay, I'll just
I
go
was
there.
about to say you're a back rows watcher, but if it,
Not
the theater
normally.
is as small
Normally
as
I go for one.
If you're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in a local theater, because I know you didn't see this in like a branch theater like an AMC or a Regal, did you?
I saw it. Well, I'm fairly sure it's a branch theater, but it's like the other rooms in the theater are big. Like I've been to this theater. I saw Suzume in it. I saw a bunch of other movies there for this podcast. But this was the only time that I've been in a room that small where like the back row was the ideal viewing distance. Typically I'm somewhere around the middle like you. But anyway, that story led nowhere. It was just me being silly and talking
It's
about
okay.
my
It's
theater
context.
experience.
We're setting the stage for
context.
the because it was a good time. I had a good time watching this movie. Overall, I think it's about it ends up on par with like the overall quality of the show. Like if you're a Spy Family fan, and this is the most nothing praise possible. If you're a Spy Family fan, you'll enjoy this. If you are not a Spy Family fan, what are you doing watching this movie? It's serviceable.
Serviceable is how I would describe it. And I did come out of the theater in a good mood. I was remarking to myself like, oh yeah, that was a good time. I left this theater in a better mood than I had walked in. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily on par with the anime, I guess. Because, I mean,
it's only on par with the anime in terms of the
holistically.
humor and the humor, visuals, and animation. Because not even just like the bombastic animated sequences, which would naturally be better in a movie than the TV show, but even going as far as like just the character acting. Like I noticed there was a level of detail on like how the characters behaved and moved that was a lot more active and fluid than it ever was in the TV show. And it made for it. It reminded me of watching the Chainsaw Man anime, where one of the highlights of that show is that the character animation in that one was so good that it lent itself to being a more like engrossing world, and it more immersive viewing experience. Like, oh yeah, these are like people, and I'm falling for the illusion that these are like people and not anime characters. The same thing applies to this.
Yeah, I mean, Spy Family, even the anime is good at character acting, and this on a movie budget. It makes sense that they would knock that out of the park as usual. But
oh my god, this is the movie that like I am sad that I could not bring up the snipping tool feature in real life to screenshot, because there's so many frames and little facial expressions that I wanted to take a picture of and conserve into the reaction image directory buried on my computer, because goddamn, the expressions of top tiers ever.
it would probably appear in a Crunchy Bagels video, let's be real. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to the Blu-ray release so I can immediately get all those images onto the computer ASAP.
yeah, I mean, I do have some issues with the movie, and thinking of like Spy Family Season 2's funniest moments, I don't think it has anything quite on par with that. And, the story, I mean, once again, it's serviceable. It is about what you would expect when you hear Spy Family movie. Like, whatever is the most perfectly acceptable, won't disappoint you version of that is the version that you get. But in terms of being, like, above and beyond, no, not really. I'd say, well, I'll keep number scores for the end, but it is perfectly acceptable, and that is my stance.
Yeah, you know what the absolute best part of the movie is? Confirmation that Yuri is in fact worst boy and was explicitly written out of the movie.
Yeah, because he was going to interfere with what they were doing, because he's like, oh, yours in danger. Just it never gets around to it, never ends up happening.
Literally because he gets restrained by his fellow Secret Servicemen.
Yeah, so this movie,
but
who
I guess doesn't get written out of the movie? Fiona Frost, baby! Best
yeah,
girl.
Fiona. I almost said Twilight again, but it's Nightfall. I keep mixing them up.
I mean,
but
they
Fiona
are pretty much identical.
Is back, baby.
Oh, and she's as cute as ever. All the disguises that she's in make her hot as fuck. That one disguise when she's breaking into that one military base to get Lloyd's flight off the ground, and then the little fucking jumps that she does when Lloyd praises her, and when she maintains her expression. Oh, it's so good, so good. She is best girl forever.
So I guess we should get into what actually happens in the movie. We've already sort of discussed the cooking competition. So Anya has to make... Okay, so Lloyd knows about this cooking competition and that it involves getting Stella. So he's like, Ayo, Anya, we've got to make this very specific thing for the president of the... Yeah, he's he's taste testing everything. And so we've got to make something for his taste buds specifically. And there's this one sweet that he specifically likes because he had it once way back when in Frigis, which is where most of this movie takes place. He's like, okay, we gotta make something satisfactory for him. So we go out to Frigis, which is this other place, in order to try this food. But things go awry very quickly.
Yeah, in classic Ostania versus Westalis hijinks, there's covert ops, Cold War shit going on. I forget which side is which again, which is a thing that I've always struggled with Spy Family.
So Ostania, I think, is the one that... Oh god, now I'm forgetting. I thought I had it, and now I'm forgetting.
Ostania is where Lloyd is from, right? Because he's in Westalis.
I was about... Yeah, I think that is where Lloyd is from. Could be mistaken. Yeah, they're literally called Ostania and Westalis, East and West. I mean, come on, can you really blame us?
Yeah. But yeah, they're doing their thing. While they're taking a train ride to Frigis so they can get all of the they can go to a restaurant that serves the the dessert. It's called mere mere that they're trying to make for the principal. Anya gets into some, her wacky hijinks once again, her nonsense, if you will, and she stumbles across a suitcase containing a little chocolate ball candy that inside, unbeknownst to her at the time, contained a microchip with a very important, like, war-causing data. And, that little scamp, that rascal Anya, she went ahead and ate the darn thing, and now she's gonna have the military slice open her stomach, and so that they could ignite World War III.
Yeah, and that's basically, she gets kidnapped and taken aboard this plane, and that's that's where the third act of the movie takes place. But before that, we get into a subplot that I thought would really annoy me, which is the misunderstanding that Yor has, where where she thinks, oh, Lloyd is cheating on me, because there's like the three things that mean that he's cheating on her, according to her coworker, which is he starts buying her gifts. Apparently that's one of them. Well, what starts it is that
trips.
Yeah, takes longer trips out, which obviously we know that he has to do that for his job. So I was like, oh my fucking god, this is please don't go in this direction. And yeah, this all starts because she sees Lloyd. Fiona's hat gets blown off her head, and Lloyd goes to catch it, but she's like, oh no, did he kiss this girl? Oh no. But maybe he was not kissing her.
I would've.
He should. I would have as well, but that's, we're not talking about what we would do. We're talking about Lloyd, the stand-up guy, being loyal to his fake wife. Fake, quote-unquote, obviously, the entire point of Spy Family, as it's been beaten into our skulls at this point, is that, they're slowly becoming a real couple and slowly growing to care about each other. What I was really afraid of, and what I genuinely thought would happen, was that it would get dispelled at the last possible moment, that this would just be haunting us the entire movie, this misunderstanding that Yor has about Lloyd, and I was gonna be like, please don't, please don't. Thankfully, it does get dispelled. It was still a completely pointless subplot, all in all. I mean, what it really amounts to is a scene in the Ferris wheel that Anya helps set up, where, they both get in, and, Yor's like, are you cheating on me? And Lloyd's like, hey, yo, remember that promise we made in episode 2 when I put the grenade ring on your finger, and how awesome that was, Yeah, I'm still abiding by that. We're a couple. And they get the dramatic music going. They were clearly going for pathos, but I did not. I don't know. It's because of the setup being so poor that it kind of falls flat.
See, where it fell flat for me was when they just straight up recycled the joke of yours slapping him in the face again.
Yeah, I mean, it was falling flat for me before then, just because, like, even the whiff, the whiff of an anime, hood classic anime misunderstanding was causing me to shiver in my boots. Like, oh no, what is this gonna turn into? Yeah, bro, I mean, at least they got the subplot out of the movie.
You're telling me they couldn't, like, get away with one hug, really?
Yeah, I mean, the
wouldn't it have been so nice
about...
that on the Ferris wheel, where you're like is relieved that Lloyd isn't cheating on me after all, and instead of going for the slap, she just allows herself to hug instead of being like, oh no, don't kiss me, you perv Lloyd Sama.
You perv Lloyd Sama. But no, they can't do that. They can't have any progression in their relationship because this is the filler movie, Neon. Come on, Neon. Even though a hug would have been perfectly acceptable considering where they are at in their relationship. But, that's kind of the name of the game with Spy Family. They can't become an actual couple until way later down the line, presumably. Once Anya gets her fucking Stella, but that's beside the point.
But not in this movie. So they're doing their thing. Eventually, the military that was trying to get their hands on that microchip gets involved. They kidnap Anya. They fly away on this big experimental warship that they're gonna take over the border, and they're gonna launch into World War III. So Lloyd and Yor have to team up to, independently rescue Anya, but also at the same time, keep their identities a secret from the other. I like how, even like through like all the clearly impossible, superhuman spy things that they have to do to get onto the ship, they're just like Lloyd's like, oh yeah, I was a pilot and I'm able to, steer some ships in my. What was the excuse that he gave to Yor that she believed instantly?
Well, there was the pilot thing, and that he used to be one. Was there anything more than that?
I remember the gag about the chocolate thieves that Yor hilariously bought into.
Oh yeah, it was
entirely.
that. This is just a thing that happens in Frigis regularly. That they just
Oh,
have
yeah.
chocolate thieves running around.
And Yor's just like, oh, that's so dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I mean, I feel like this is the furthest they've pushed the lie. Granted, they've already pushed it pretty far at this point. This is like above and beyond.
I mean, it's been established that Yor is a dumbass, so.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I guess they were pushing it as early as episode 2, so it's not exactly out of character for her. She's like turbo stupid.
She saw the man literally beat up people trying to attack him with like weapons and shit, and he's just like, "Oh no, they're my patients. They're just suffering like extreme bouts of paranoia and psychosis. Don't worry about them as I chuck this grenade at my
stuff.
patients." Yeah.
Literally puts a grenade ring on her finger to propose, and it's
what can I say? The Lloyd Forger Riz goes too stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you do kind of have to accept with this movie, to the extent that it is possible. Like, anytime there is gun warfare in this movie, prepare to just accept that the bullets, that just everyone who isn't Lloyd or Yor will miss their target continuously, without hitting a single time. Like, there's one part where Lloyd is in a room full of people firing at him. They all miss. Don't even think about it. Even though they're all trying to hit him. All of them.
While watching this movie,
machine.
I was gonna say, while watching this movie, there was a popular. I was thinking about a popular matchup of who would win in a fight, a death battle, if you will, between Yor Forger and the assassin from Kill Bill, like the main character from Kill Bill. Because the whole conceit of it was that Yor is like clearly like cartoonishly stronger than she is, but maybe the Kill Bill lady has like enough technique and skill and speed to keep up with her. But no, Yor can now dodge anti-aircraft rounds like on foot and miniguns. So yeah, no.
She runs towards a minigun.
Yeah, her power level has gone up tremendously in this movie.
Yeah, it's quite
Yor Forger
goofy.
can in fact solo your favorite character.
And it is hard for me personally to know how to feel about just how far this movie goes and having them do unrealistic bullshit. Like, I mean, I don't even care that it's necessarily unrealistic, but just how aggressively they cannot hit them. They are impervious to bullets. That is what it feels like in this scene. Like,
hey,
for
man,
50 minutes, they cannot hit a single shot.
Hey man, of the same coin, I'm pretty sure I did not see Lloyd kill a single person even though he was shooting back at the guys. So maybe that whole thing we were on about, like, wait, does Lloyd kill people? I guess maybe he doesn't.
Who knows? But there are some cool things about this action scene. So one of my favorite moments is near the end. Unless I'm jumping ahead too far, but I don't think it particularly matters, do you?
Nah, it doesn't.
Yeah, so the main villain of this film, let me get his, is Snyder. Did you watch it sub or dub?
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. Sub or dub for you? Because I watched it subbed.
I watched it subbed as well.
Yeah,
also, it's
so
Snydell.
Snydell.
Or
Okay,
Sneedle,
I wasn't
I don't
exactly
know.
sure. Sneagle. But
Honestly, I forgot his last name. I just called him the Colonel.
I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at the AniList name he has up just to remember it, because I am so bad at names. But
I think they just straight up did not say his name often, and I just, like, every time I saw him, I was like, that's the Colonel.
Yeah, so they introduce him at a scene in the restaurant where he takes the mere mere, where he's like, hey, yo, we're part of the military, fuck you, I want my mere mere, and, Lloyd, we're gonna have, a competition about it, and basically it's that they eat a bunch of different food at the restaurant, which, by the way, the restaurant is just facilitating this because he is part of the military and they feel the need to, like, bend to his every whim. I thought that was pretty fun. But and it also establishes, he's like a big deal, big bad dude. But they, do this game where they have to decide just by taste what kind of sugar is in each food that they bring out. And Lloyd is like, hey, yo, I got the ace up my sleeve. Like, I've had to, be a chef for a time for my spy stuff. I got this. And he writes down the type of sugar accurately. And, our boy Zack Snyder, he's real impressed. Our boy the Colonel, he's like, oh, yeah, Lloyd, you've got the sauce. Except I've got even
Zack
more of it.
Snyder the whole time now.
Sure, we can go with that. But, Zack Snyder's like, hey, yo, you've got the sauce, but I've got even more of it. Bam! I've got the exact amount of sugar in each dish. Do you have that? Yeah, get fucked, Lloyd. And so Lloyd, he's been made a fool of. And that's the scene to set him up, which I really like. This scene is great at setting him up, and I love it, and it's really fun. But the scene I'm building to, just getting the context out of the way. The scene we're building to is that because he has this ability to, whiff out the exact amount of sugar and things, he can also, literally judging by Lloyd's smell, he can tell that he is in his disguise because he, disguises himself as one of the crew members, and Zack Snyder's like, hey, yo, something's amiss. And that's how we get into the scene where they try to execute Lloyd via firing squad. But eventually, we get into this scene where Lloyd has dressed up as Zack Snyder, and we get like this scene where, his crew members are like, hey, yo, who is it? Like, which one is the real one? And, I mean, first of all, I just like that we have a character to finally whiff out Lloyd in his disguise, which, in a way that makes sense in Spy Family goofball logic. Like, that was, like, I keep talking about the way in which, the way the characters avoid the bullets is too goofy to be believed. This is goofy logic, but it's the goofy logic I buy into in Spy Family. Just, like, in the same way that Yor just has super strength, and I buy into it. I buy into him having super smell and being able to super sniff out Lloyd in his disguise.
But are you able to buy into Lloyd being able to whip up perfect Mission Impossible Scooby-Doo rubber mask disguises, seemingly out of nowhere on the fly?
I actually am kind of willing to buy into it, just because we don't know exactly how he makes them, and there will never be an answer to that, by the way. Like, the second they try to answer that, like, don't even try. Literally, like, as soon as they try to answer it, all logic, like, I will stop buying into it. But if they just don't explain it, I can buy into it. Like, it's goofy, it doesn't make any sense. But as long as, you just leave it alone. Just don't try to explain it at all, and I'm fine with it. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I did find it a little goofy that after Zack Snyder throws the gas grenade, and Anya is able to save her Lloyd at the last second by hitting a button to open up the window so that the gas dissipates and doesn't choke him out. While he's under the cover of the gas, he tackles him, and then somehow mid-tackle, he was just able to put on the disguise to match both his face and his his build. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, all right, this is getting a little ridiculous. Like, if he was like Batman and like prep timed his disguises, then I could believe it. But you expect me to believe that man, mid tackle, also just perfectly slipped into a full body disguise to fool all these other dudes?
The more you explain it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, that is goofy. At the same time, I was way too focused on all the bullet shenanigans. Like, and I mean, I guess
that's not even the most ridiculous thing that happened in that scene. The most ridiculous thing is that Anya, an actual 4-year-old, was able to break out of the binds of a grown man's rope knot against a metal pipe and able to tear it off with her own strength. Like, nothing happened and to cause like a Phineas and Ferb style chain reaction series of events to allow her to cut herself loose. She just ripped that shit off of her own doing.
Listen, Neon, you just stop asking questions. Just stop questioning things and the movie will make sense. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, Spy Family, famously known for its logical consistency, world round, right here.
I mean, it's to correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the show has been. I'm sure there have been moments where it's been like, oh, that was a little silly, or that was a little goofy, but I remember the show being a lot more logically consistent, and even with its own goofball logic, I feel like it's been more consistent than this has been. And maybe I'm
far
noticing
more
it more
consistent
in the movie
than this. Like, you can tell. I at the very least noticed that as soon as they were no longer adapting manga panels, you can tell that a lot of the logic sort of fell out the window, specifically on a moment-to-moment basis of I don't remember the gunplay ever being quite this ridiculous in the anime. And, just random goofball stuff like this. There was the super strength, there were some stray moments with Lloyd giving up his cover to the impersonator, which you could even hand wave that kind of as him being just so stupefied by it. But, there was the stuff about you're being too stupid to even be believable in terms of keeping up this facade. But this movie, I mean, like I said, the entire conceit of this airplane mission and you're being around for it and somehow not getting the point that Lloyd is not who he says he is, or at the very least has a background that should be, at the very least inquired about. The fact that she just accepts that there are random chocolate marauders who are extremely serious about it. Yeah, it is goofier than has previously been established in this show.
But is that to the movie's detriment?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I do think it hurts some of the... I mean, once again, Spy Family, never airtight. I don't expect that from this show, because, I mean, part of the point is that it is a goofy representation of spies and of these things, and that it, goes back and forth between comedy and occasionally horrific imagery. But, yeah, I mean, I think it is a little too loosey-goosey with its logic.
Oh yeah, speaking of, this is also, my last major criticism of the movie. If the plan was going to be to cut Anya up to tear the microfilm out of her stomach, why would you wait for her to shit in the first place? Just kill her then. You're trying to start a world war, and you're already established that you're fine with cutting her open to get the microfilm out. Why don't you just fucking kill her yourself and do it?
Can we get this mana true? I didn't even think about that, but.
Yeah, she's literally in front of Zack Snyder, I think more than once, and he's just like, Well, hey, I kind of need that microfilm, and you ate it. So, ooh, sorry, kid. Takes out the scalpel, slice.
See, I feel like I'd be able to believe that if the movie established that he was like really just really did not want to hurt this child, just wanted to let her go after she got
No,
the
but they
goods
go
out.
out of his way to establish
Yeah,
him as a dick.
he is-
He steals her
he's a
her
psychopath.
dessert at a restaurant. He kills one of his own men, who granted turned out to be a spy for Ostania. But like as soon as he like found it out, didn't even like try to catch him in the act. As soon as he just suspected that he just killed him right then and there in front of everyone. Like
See, I don't
he's
even
already
think
established.
Yeah, like I don't even think the scene of him stealing the mere mere would be like that hard to, that hard to combine with the idea that he doesn't want to kill this child. But the fact that I don't think he ever expresses any hesitancy in cutting this girl open. Like he's just like, well, I guess we'll get the scalpel. I'll cut her open myself, because you guys can't seem to do it.
Yeah, that was the stupidest
yeah.
moment in the whole film for me. In conjunction with Anya somehow finding the strength to break out of a rope bind.
Yeah, it's not completely consistent
But
by
you know
any
what-
stretch of
what-
the
what-
imagination.
What it lacks in consistency, it makes up for in cool moments in comedy. Because all the action's cool. The whole sequence with Yor versus the mechanized cyborg dude, which apparently there are now cyborgs in Spy X Family, so that's canon, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that fight scene in particular was really badass, and I love the way it ends too, with her taking the lipstick because it's flammable and using it to light him on fire. That was badass as fuck.
That was a great Chekhov. This movie is, to its credit, is chock full of really smart Chekhov's guns, even to the point where all the way back to the beginning of the movie, where Lloyd is being threatened to be replaced by some other like incompetent bitch maid agent in Wise to take over Operation Strix because he has been showing much progress recently. When combining that with the early establishment of Yor being like, oh no, if Lloyd is cheating on me and our marriage falls through, I might go to jail on suspicion of like being a spy. All of that comes to a head at the very end, where that same incompetent spy gets outed for being unfaithful to his wife.
I noticed that.
And yeah, and I'm like 80% sure of this, but I'm pretty sure that during the whole sequence of Lloyd going around to Frigis to find the cherry liquor, there's a part where we see the incompetent dude, because I remember that one image that Sylvia hands Lloyd of the picture of him being caught on camera being unfaithful. I'm pretty sure we saw him with that girl in the one bar or restaurant, whatever, where he's like infiltrating to find the cherry liquor. I'm pretty sure we saw that.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure you're right on that, because I remembered that scene too. And yeah, I mean, it is there. Like, they do Chekhov's gun it, which that's pretty clever. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to add now that I think about it. You pretty much got it.
Yeah. But we gotta talk about the best scene in all of Spy X Family so far. I fucking lost it.
Are we talking about
poop? Yeah, the poop god
arc.
shit. I lost it. I absolutely lost it.
Listen, if liking a poop joke makes me an immature child, if that makes me wrong, I don't want to be right. That's all I'm saying.
Everyone in my theater, as few people as there were losing their minds over the poop god scene.
My theater was desolate, but I was silently dying because
why is the most
really
it's not only the best looking scene in the movie. It's not even just the most like best animated either. It's the best like scene, arguably, in the entirety of Spy X Family, the anime.
Really? that is a high.
I mean, all right,
praise.
if we're talking like narratively, obviously there's no narrative to it at all. It's just it's a big poop joke. But at the same, like, it's so like the art style shift. It goes into like this really avant-garde art house looking design, almost like a children's coloring book.
Yeah, they sell it so the way it's set up is that it just suddenly
Anya
cuts
is
to
flying over the ocean propelled by her farts.
Dude, and then there's the fucking like all these statues lined up over the waters, and they're all peeing towards each other, but it's like squirts of water. They just go so far with it. I love it. It's so funny.
The poop god is like the top of his head is just a poop. And it's like the whole thing about the poop guy thing. Anya's trying so hard to hold it in because she knows that as soon as she poops, like, not only is the world going to end, but she's gonna fucking die because, all right, well, she knows too much, and what we need from her is the microfilm. So after she passes it, her usefulness is no longer required. So we'll just kill her afterwards. But like she's struggling to hold it in. She's having a certified neon mantis shit moment. But then, like, finally, when she thinks she's at her breaking point, she goes through a fucking, like, Buddhist, like, awakening. Like, she achieves nirvana and, like, triggers the poop god dream sequence to the point where she is able to, like, mentally hold it in for an additional length of time, just hallucinating the whole poop god sequence. And the whole time I was like, is this real, chat? Chat, is this real? Is this actually happening?
Chat, is this real?
Of all the things I was expecting to happen in this movie, being blessed but with the presence of the poop god was not one of them.
Yeah, that was easily the funniest joke of the film by far. And like literally the best, like one of, if not the best animated and directed sequence. It looks way too good.
And bro, all of this effort went into a poop joke.
See, that's what I love about it.
That's part of what makes it so fucking hilarious. The best looking scene in Spy Family is for a poop joke.
Bro, I was reading a review, like literally a few hours ago, before the podcast, of Spy Family Code White on AniList, and they were like, yeah, the poop joke wasn't funny. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm going to strangle you.
Do you hate fun?
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you see that something is a poop joke and then immediately decide preemptively that it is not funny because you are not 5?
It is quite literally a shit post.
This is proof that it can be funny. You just gotta go all in. You gotta
have
go to the poop god dimension.
Your mascot
soar
character
over the waters
with the gas propelled by your flatulence. I posted in one of my friends' Discord. I made a post saying, like, while I was watching it, I had a thought crossed into my head, which low key made the scene even funnier. That someone somewhere in the world, some sick degenerate bastard who should be locked up in like the deepest pits of Area 51, is like, someone somewhere is getting off to this.
I knew where you were going with that.
Someone is watching
a horrifying thought.
This lolly farting, and I was like, oh no, this is someone's Black Panther.
Oh no.
This is some degenerate criminal's Black Panther.
Listen, if liking lollies farting makes me wrong, I don't want to be right. No, but
okay. Well, what a great joke, Crunchy. You're such a jokester, Crunchy.
Yeah, I'm such a jokester. Of
course, you'd never actually mean that and say it in front of a live audience.
Of course, yeah, I'd never admit such a thing. No, really, I don't like this in that way. Please don't lock me up, FBI-chan.
Yeah, that's the best thing of the whole anime. We can pack it up. Cancel the anime. It's peaked. It's never gonna do better than this again.
We don't need season 3 anymore. This was better than it could ever be. But yeah, Unless there are, I mean, I guess some other stray notes. I like how they do the color, like the coloring from the first OP in the, like, to show who is who behind the disguise when they're doing the whole Zack Snyder versus Lloyd fight, and he eventually offs Zack Snyder. I love that. I love all the choreography when Yor is fighting the mech guy, but we already kind of went into that. And trying to think
Did
of
you
any
find it a
other
little strange?
notes
Were
that I
you
would
half
have.
expecting Zack Snyder to come back at the end after Lloyd punked him in that fight?
Not really.
I thought
I mean,
for
it
sure they were
was
gonna.
sudden, but like he
Yeah, it was
died
sudden
pretty
and-
suddenly. But I thought that the
He
directing
didn't even die
made it
though. I'm pretty sure he
satisfying.
just knocked him out.
I'm trying to
Because
remember.
because while he's disguised, he orders his men to take him to the one of the cells into prison.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he's still kicking then.
Yeah, so
Aight.
I was sitting there thinking like, okay, so like the plane's gonna crash or something, and like after they land, he's gonna come out with a gun pointed at all of them and be like, now you've ruined my plans, but you're never gonna see the light of day again. But then something goofy was gonna happen that was gonna result in his defeat. But no, he just got punked by Lloyd, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I still thought it was plenty satisfying, just mostly because of the directing that sold it. I enjoyed that a lot. Listen, all you need to do to make me enjoy a scene is make the colors weird, and then I will like it. I will accept anything that happens. If this whole action scene had been with weird colors, I wouldn't have noticed any of the plot inconsistencies.
Me when I'm watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, maybe they're hoping for people like me in that show. Even though I still complained endlessly about Stone Ocean, but you know, it's
okay. It's the worst of the 6 parts.
Yeah, and aside from that, I thought the final scene of everyone looking over the ocean and the crashed ship, crashed airplane rather. I thought it was very pretty. Oh, and also
Yeah,
I thought that it was funny that the microchip was between Anya's teeth the entire time.
Oh yeah, so she was holding in that poop for nothing.
Yeah, that was great. And
did you stay throughout the credits for the Marvel post-credit scene?
I didn't. I stayed for a little bit, but then I was like, I mean, I'm not sure if it's worth it to just watch the credits here. Because I didn't go with anyone, so... And also, my theater entirely emptied, like, as soon as the credits began. So I was just alone in the theater for, like, a couple minutes, and then I was like...
They didn't want to listen to another Gen Hoshino bop?
Apparently not.
It sounds like it's their loss. Also, you literally did not miss anything. It's literally just, it was Frankie showing up in Frigis, because, if you'll remember, Lloyd called him trying to get some cherry liquor delivered to Frigis, so he did do that. But they had already gone home at that point, so it was just one last joke.
Oh, that would have been funny. Okay. I mean, I know it's not much, but I probably should have stayed because I would have laughed at that.
Yeah, and with that, I think that's just the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've gone over everything of note in it. We got some reinforcement of the family themes of, hey, we're a family. But we already knew that. It kind of just goes over it. But again...
It's a greatest hits compilation of everything that's happened, like, seasons 1 and 2. Like, yours having, trust issues with Lloyd, and is questioning, like, the validity of their relationship. Lloyd is going out of his way to appeal to her and let her know that, hey, no, everything's fine. We're still together, babe. Let me try to kiss you to prove it. Yor gets drunk, to, deal with the relationship problems, then comedically slaps him, but he plays it off because he's so cool, even though he leaves a giant mark. Anya gets in trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
with
whenever
the
she got
military.
drunk, I said best girl.
True. That drunk Yor is the only character who could compete with Fiona in this show. Then again, if we see drunk Fiona, it's Jover.
it's so Jover. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it like I said, perfectly acceptable, but I do think it's Spy Family at its weakest overall.
Yeah, I love how
Because,
the poster of the movie, with like the Stella of the stars shattering into pieces with the different characters reflected in it. I love how it implies that Yuri, Becky, Master Hendrickson, Frankie, Damien and his goons are of the same importance and relevance to this movie as all the other characters. Like, the only important side character is Fiona, because she actually contributes to the plot.
yeah, and even then, she is also mostly there to facilitate your misunderstanding, which instantly makes her presence evil and vile. Even though I love her.
Well, no,
and
she
even though
helps.
I love her hopping. Yeah, she helps
when she
a
comes
little.
down to Frigis, she helps them fight off the dudes.
Yeah, she is still a help, but no,
And
I'll
she
never
looks
forgive
damn
her.
good while doing it.
But overall, what are you thinking for a number score?
I was thinking 7 out of 10 because like it was it's stuff that nothing new that we haven't seen from the show already, so it just felt like one condensed arc that's kind of like a retread. Like it felt like exactly what it is, an anime filler movie for a much bigger ongoing series, but with the production values, the animation and the comedy, especially with the poop god scene, I was like, you know what? The poop god scene alone is enough to take this from a 7 to an 8 for me. I think it's about because of that, it's roughly on par with the show. Is it better than the show? No, but is it like about like comparable in quality? Yeah, it's not such a wide berth.
I actually did give it a 7 out of 10 because even with the poop god scene, I mean, outside of that, like I don't think it's as funny as the funniest scenes from any given given season of the show. The visuals are top notch, but top notch specifically in the latter half of the movie. In the first half, it does once again just look like a little bit smoother version of the anime, and not as beautiful as like a Shinkai film or something like that. Not the most beautiful looking anime film you could imagine. And so you only really feel, I guess, the film production values. Well, I mean, you feel them a little in the first half, but you really start feeling them in the second half. But even still, like the first half, not feeling them as much, I'd say that's a little bit to its detriment. It is still well directed, especially
I
the
feel
fight
like
scenes
it went
and
towards the character
choreography.
animation.
Character animation was always great, yeah. But overall, like, I do feel like it is a bit of a retread, and like you said, greatest hits. And granted, the show has kind of been retreading the same ground for a while now, especially with no progress in the plot. Although there's still a little bit of it in, season 2, your stuff, which is all great. I mean, I think the stuff that happened in the your arc was, a lot more exciting than pretty much anything that happened in the movie, at least speaking personally. Even if there are some select moments that I think are stellar, overall, I think it's a solid 7.
Yeah, and for right now, it looks like the last piece of Spy X Family anime content that we're gonna get for a while. Although there's literally no way season 3 doesn't get announced. If not by the end of the year, sometime next year, because this shit's too big to leave on the back burner now. We got 2 seasons and a goddamn filler movie. There's no way Cloverworks and Win are gonna leave this shit on the table. This probably makes them so much money. Like, dude, Spy Family merch must be like selling out the wazoo.
Yeah, I mean, it is extremely merchandisable considering you've got Anya. I wonder how much, how far behind the manga we are, and if there's enough for season 3 yet.
I don't know.
Because I don't know
mean,
how often the chapters
we know
come out.
As we established at the end of the last Spy Family podcast in season 2, there was the fear that we had that, oh no, is this the part where the manga reader's like, oh yeah, this is where the progress slows to a grinding crawl. So if you were hoping for a narrative, tough luck, buddy. Is this a sign of things to come?
Yeah, I mean, that's the stage we were at. Honestly, for the last, ever since the second core of season 1, you can kind of feel it, and especially in season 2. Even though season 2 had more progress than I expected to have, honestly, even if the Your Assassin stuff wasn't too relevant overall to the narrative yet. No, there was still some stuff there. I still think it was a worthwhile venture. Anya just needs to get a fucking Stella. But, listen, once that happens, I will be happy.
Yeah, and with that, I think we're about done here. Do you have any other thoughts?
Nope, I think I got all of them out there.
Yeah, well, we tell you to go see the movie and we recommend it. Unfortunately, it's definitely no longer in theaters, but there's probably a Western home video release coming soon. So yeah, if you haven't seen it already, we do recommend it, and I guess wait for it to come out on the blue bricks. So that'll do her for this episode of Castaway Anime. If you enjoyed the podcast, let us know down in the comments what you think of the show. What anime should we cover in the future? What did you think of the movie? Did you get to see it in theaters? Did you laugh your ass off at the poop god joke like we did? Let us know all your thoughts down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a new episode. Subscribe to Crunchy's channel and check out all our socials linked in the description. That'll do her. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And you'll see us next time.